I let myself get completely out of control. And actually, I want to take this opportunity to apologize to my fans.
Welcome to First Time Watching. Please like and subscribe as we jump straight into the explanation of Smile 2. Famous singer Skye Riley is a guest on the Drew Barrymore show. She has taken a year off from singing after getting into a car accident together with her then-boyfriend and famous actor Paul Hudson. She is on the show to tell the truth about her substance abuse, from which she is now fully clean, and to apologize to her fans by announcing her new world tour. Drew asks her about the journey to get sober, and Skye has some cheesy media answer ready that they drilled into her. But in reality, she pulled out a lot of hairs to get to where she is now. And for a new tour, you of course need a lot of practice. So she is right back into the dance studio to relearn the steps. But this car accident took a bigger toll on her body than she cares to admit because she experiences large amounts of back pains during practice. The accident left some pretty big scars, and Skye is very insecure about them. In her changing room, she still has some pain medication on hand, but accidentally drops them down the drain when her momager unexpectedly knocks. So in the car ride home, while her mom is blurting uninteresting appointment crap at her, Skye texts her dealer that she needs to be hooked up with some more pain meds. So instead of walking into her hotel and straight to bed, she waits till her mom leaves and grabs a cab to her dealer's house. He opens the door, pulls her inside, and puts a sword against her neck. He is losing his marbles and tells her that she can't just show up at his place. So she tells him that she texted him, and when he confirms the texts, he wonders why he doesn't know about any of that. Lukas, the dealer, has the worst week. He tells Skye he is in the middle of some scary haunted house stuff while he snorts another line of coke to loosen his credibility. But he calms her down by saying the magic words, "Do you want Vicodin?" He tells her he'll be right back as he walks into his bedroom. Skye gets tired of waiting, so she goes to check on Lukas. But Lukas comes running and screaming out of his bedroom. He forgot about Skye being there again and looks terrified, like something is behind Skye. And then Lukas ODs. But right when he dies, he looks back at Skye and starts smiling. He doesn't break eye contact and picks up a weight. He holds up the weight and starts hitting himself in the face over and over while still smiling at her until his face falls apart and Lukas really dies. Skye blows some chunks and thinks about calling the cops, but that won't do her reputation any good. So she decides to flee the scene. Skye locks herself into her apartment and chugs a bottle of expensive water, then takes a shower and rips out a lock of hair to deal with whatever she just saw and goes to bed. But while laying in bed, she hears a squishy sound and sees Lukas standing next to her, making squishing noises with his demolished face. But when she gets up, he's gone. She lays awake all night and starts her busy schedule for the next day. Her mother gives her crap for not sleeping well and forces her to chug some more water. She asks Skye if she talked to Gemma about coming on tour, then gives her some rant about that. She was Skye's best friend, and that she's sure she'll forgive her for whatever happened between them. But Skye loses her shit and tells everybody to keep their yap traps shut. Darius enters the room. He is the guy who pays the bills. So all the issues fly out the window and everybody is back on friendly mode. He has a last-minute request if Skye could be a special presenter for a benefit. She doesn't have to do a lot, just smile and read the text on the prompter. So of course she agrees to the job. Then after her photo shoot, Skye has to fit her tour outfit, but is occupied by Googling if vomit contains DNA to make sure she isn't linked to Lukas's death. Google's answer is, "It depends," which ain't helpful at all. Skye then receives a message from an unknown contact asking her if she was at Lukas's apartment last night, but she gets distracted by the squishing sound. As she looks in the mirror, Lukas is behind her, and when she looks away, he is gone. But when she looks again, he is pulling her face into a smile, and then he's gone. Her momager and the assistants enter the room. They are here about a wardrobe issue, because you can see her scar through this outfit. And since they can't seem to convince her right now, they shouldn't waste time and move right onto stage practice. Next on the schedule is a signing session, and the normal weirdos are a breath of fresh air until this one guy shows up, who looks like he has the skin condition that rules them all. The guy looks nervous and asks her to sign a shirt, and then they take a picture. But while they are posing, the guy tells her he can see she is sad on the inside and that he can make her happy. His excitement turns into a serial killer vibe, so they have to call security on him. And that's when Skye thinks, let's move it along. They can't all be creeps, right? Next up is this little girl with an ominous smile. She does not talk to Skye, so she awkwardly just signs the girl's shirt. They take a picture together, but the girl just keeps staring at Skye. The day is finally over, and she has time to think about that stupid text back at her apartment and pulls out a strand of hair. She then decides to call Gemma to apologize for all the crap she put her through. Skye asks Gemma to come over, and she says she'll be there in about an hour. So while Skye waits, she chugs another bottle of water and takes a seat at her piano to write new music. But Skye gets spooked by the sound of glass breaking, and when she walks to the kitchen, her bottle that she left on the counter got smashed to the floor. She goes to get a broom to clean the mess, but when Skye returns to the bottle, she finds the shirt she signed for that weird guy that needs a dermatologist. And around the corner, there is a trail of his clothing leading to a shit-stained underpants. The lights go off, and the guy is standing there, schlong swinging. He starts to run at her, and Skye runs to the door, but when she opens it, Gemma is there. Together, they pick something to pummel intruders with, but the guy and the clothing has magically disappeared, and the water bottle is back on the counter. Gemma is confused why Skye is acting so weird, but in response, Skye just chugs another gallon of water. Gemma asks why, and Skye explains that it's because her therapist told her that if she's overwhelmed or has the urge to use drugs or get drunk, she should drink water instead. Skye apologizes to Gemma from the heart, and Gemma accepts her apology, but now she wants to know why Skye acts like a loony. Skye tells Gemma about Lukas killing himself while she was there, but he was truly terrified of something before he did it. Gemma suggests that she can spend the night to make sure she isn't alone, but that night Skye has a nightmare about an entirely different demon. She is reliving the car accident and can clearly see her ex-bae's face post-crash. Skye finally wakes up and looks at Gemma, who is next to her in the bed, but Gemma smiles back at her. And then Gemma's face lights up like looking into headlights from oncoming traffic, and Skye jumps out of bed. Gemma asks, Skye, what's going on? It's morning, and she just came from the kitchen. She made the matcha. Now, Skye falls right back into some old shitty pattern and bitches and moans at Gemma for not waking her in time. Then she asks Gemma if she can join her today, but Gemma tells her she can't because she has a thing with a friend. But before they can finish that conversation, Skye's mom barges in. There are 100 people waiting for her. Being late for practice is not preferable, but she gets ready and jumps on stage. During her stage practice, Lukas flashes in front of her face. Skye falls backwards and breaks her leg, but when she looks again, her leg is fine. So Skye storms off stage because she is going absolutely bonkers. On her way back to her dressing room, she passes her assistant, who smiles at her, and when she enters the dressing room, it's absolutely ransacked. She pulls out a strand of hair and confronts the assistant Joshua, but nobody knows what she is talking about. She just looks even more crazy. Her mom tries to act like a mother and be supportive, but Skye starts to talk about canceling the tour, which brings out the manager in her. She gives her the rundown. There is no way that she is going to cancel the tour, nor the presenting gig for a benefit about underprivileged youth. So at this benefit, Skye is frantically texting Gemma in hopes that she'll show, but she gets another text from the unknown texter saying that he knows it's Skye Riley, the singer. She smears her makeup right before she has to get on stage, but when Skye is on stage, the teleprompter stops working, so she gives a pretty awful speech about her substance abuse that just makes everybody uncomfortable. Luckily for her, the teleprompter starts working again, so without a second thought, she starts reading what's on it, but instead of introducing the next guest, the teleprompter says the special guest is Paul Hudson. Jacobson, her dead boyfriend. The crowd gasps, and Skye loses her cool. Paul is in the audience smiling at her and starts to walk towards her, and Skye starts screaming on stage. She closes her eyes in hopes that he will disappear. But when the woman who is on stage with her closes in, she gets another Paul jump scare and throws the old brittle bag of bones off stage. The manager and Darius get yelled at while Skye is still spacing out about what just happened. She goes home and tries to contact Gemma, but the unknown number keeps texting her that she is in danger. The person says that he can help. She is not imagining the things she is seeing. He sends her a video Lukas made 4 days before his death. He filmed himself terrified, walking around his own apartment, and he talks about that. It just stares at him smiling, and then Lukas jump scares her again, so she is done with this crap and texts the guy she wants to meet. He drops a location at some bar, and she goes there right away. He is waiting for her in one of the booths. He explains that he was not following her, but he was following Lukas because he was trying to warn him. But when he did not leave his apartment anymore, he decided to check it and found him dead. And that's where he got Skye's number, because she was the last person he contacted. He then tells her that Lukas did not kill himself, but he was possessed and forced to do the things he did to himself. The guy explains to her that the demon spreads by first driving the host completely crazy, and then when they have no hope left, he finds a next victim and commits suicide in front of their face. That's how it infects its next target, and he's been following this demon for quite some time because it killed his brother. His brother was the host 8 people before Skye. He tore his own jaw off with a crowbar. His theory is that if the host dies outside of the control of the demonic parasite, and without a next host being present, that the parasite dies with it. His plan is to stop Skye's heart just long enough so the parasite dies, and then resuscitate her back to life. Let's say Skye is not thrilled with his plan. She doesn't even know the guy, but he introduces himself as Morris. He is an ER nurse, and he already has everything set up. They could go right now. People in the bar start to recognize her, so Skye runs away from the conversation and then hauls her ass back home. She turns on all the lights and chugs a bottle of water. She gets her suitcase and starts to pack her stuff, but hurts her back during packing and pulls out a big strand of hair and loses her shit. Then she collapses on the bathroom floor and finds some pills, which she takes. But when she goes to her walk-in closet to grab some clothes, it is filled with her dance group, and they are all smiling at her. As she backs off, they come closer. When she looks away, they come closer. She slowly crawls to the edge of her bed, ready to run, and then she runs. They all follow her, and when she enters the living room, there are more of them blocking the exit. Lights start breaking, and they crawl towards her, and when she runs to the door, they grab her, pin her down, and pull out a large amount of her hair. Then one of them shoves his entire arm in her mouth. In a flashback, she relives her last moments just before the car accident. She is snorting coke while she is arguing with Paul about how much their relationship sucks. She even does the crazy girl hand clap and everything, and they tell each other that they hate one another. Then his torment becomes too much, and she pulls the wheel, and they crash. Skye wakes up in a private wellness clinic with her mom sitting at her bedside. Almost everything that happened to her looks like it didn't except for the hairpiece. She really ripped the scalp off her own head. Skye tries to tell her mother that something is going on and they have to cancel the tour. But once again, the momager takes over, and she tells her that if she cancels the tour now, they will be sued by the label for millions of dollars because she already had her second chance, and there will not be a third. If they cancel now, her career is over. Skye doesn't care about any of that, but Janek's mommy does not give a flying frick about her daughter's well-being. She is only concerned about the time she gave up for her daughter's career so she could make a lot of money off of it. Skye wishes she could feel what it was like living inside her head, and then her mom's face changes. She is smiling and breaks a mirror. She picks up a large piece of glass. Skye tries to free herself from the IV, but her mom stabs herself in her own face over and over. Skye runs to the door but stops when she notices that she is holding the shard. shard of glass. Her hospital gown is full with blood, and her mom is dead on the floor. She realizes that she is the one who killed her own mother. Skye cleans her face and puts on a sweater, gets her phone, and decides to sneak out of the room in an attempt to not deal with this right now. She walks through the busy lobby of the clinic towards the emergency exit when Joshua sees her. He attracts the attention of everybody in the lobby, and the security guard comes walking towards her. Skye steals the guy's gun and points it into the room to escape the clinic. In front of the clinic, she steps on a broken bottle and has glass lodged in her foot. Gemma brought coffee to surprise her, but Skye tells her she has to go right now. She pulls the gun on her driver and steals her own car. Gemma tells her she'll drive as she texts Morris to get the address to get this freaking demon out of her. Skye begs Gemma to leave the car because she will only hurt her if she stays close to her. But then Skye's phone rings. It's Gemma. She finally called her back after that voicemail she left, and did not even think she would, because Skye called her an opportunistic cunt, and she does not want anything to do with Skye. Skye looks at the Gemma in her car, and the Gemma she has been hanging out with was never really there. She smiles at her. Skye first freaks out, but then she closes her eyes and tries to focus on the fact that she is not real. And when she opens her eyes, Skye is driving the car and stops in the middle of an intersection, and after her nerves turn into adrenaline, she drives to the location that Morris sent her. He takes her inside of an old abandoned Pizza Hut. It was the only place with a large enough freezer. Normally, if you stop a heart, a brain can be without oxygen for about 2 minutes without brain damage. But when cooled back enough, you can survive up to 9 minutes. Morris likes their odds with 9 minutes better than 2. He makes her dress into a new hospital gown, and to stop her heart, he will inject her with a big needle in the neck when she is cold enough. She lays down on the operating table, and Morris has to quickly get something. He leaves Skye alone for just a moment. But Skye is not alone. Past Skye is looking at her from the ceiling. She is crying and bleeding all over her. Then she unbuckles her seatbelt and falls on top of Skye. She drags her by the hair and smacks her against the wall. She tells her it's just them now. She likes wearing her skin. Her eyes bulge out of her face, and she puts her fingers in her mouth to make a smile. Skye closes her eyes, but when she opens them, past Skye is still there, so she bites off her thumbs. Then Skye reaches for the needle and jabs herself into the neck and starts losing conscience. But then she is pulled back, and past Skye tells her this isn't real and she isn't in control. She pushes herself against the wall, and past Skye closes the door on her while she tells her to break a leg out there. Skye is on stage in front of tens of thousands of people who are all there to see her perform. Her mom is in the crowd cheering for her. But on the other side of the stage is another her smiling at her. It rips open the scar on her stomach, and a large monster comes crawling out of it. It crawls towards Skye and rips open her mouth and jaw. For the audience, it looks like she is overdosing on stage, but then she gets back up and smiles at all of them. She holds up the microphone and hits herself with it repeatedly, killing herself in front of all her fans. Rarely a movie comes along where the sequel is better than the original, but Smile 2 did it. Naomi Scott's acting is on point, and that scene in the hotel room with the dance crew was amazing. So I will definitely recommend and rewatch Smile 2 soon.